it kind of was just dumped in the early months of the year, I think because they didn't have any faith in it.
I thought it was a very good mix of newer jokes, but also a tip of the hat back to a older time where
Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis,
I'm Michael.
and we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today we are talking about The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Daffy. Oh, sorry.
I barely even know you!
We're not afraid of nothing.
It should have been called a Looney Tunes love letter.
Yeah, for me growing up, the Looney Tunes were kind of a staple in our house. We watched a lot of it. It was a different time when Looney Tunes was a big deal. I think as most millennials or people in the millennial area probably grew up watching a lot of it. You know, Space Jam was a big deal when I was growing up.
I remember Space Jam was huge.
Yeah,
that
Bugs Bunny
What's up, Doc?
was kind of a staple for most of us growing up. It kind of was just dumped in the early months of the year, I think because they didn't have any faith in it.
What a dump.
I was actually surprised about how good it was.
Yeah, and how much I laughed.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty fun. In fact, it was funny because I was laughing at parts where my kids were not laughing.
Yeah.
And I think usually that was because they were throwing in some older
Jokes that only
most of the time older people would probably get.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we want to get into it, but the cancel joke. So they're trying to make money and they're like, let's be influencers. And they're just and Daffy Duck is shaking his butt on film.
I thought that was so dang funny.
It was hilarious. And then it's like they got canceled and it's like hilarious.
The IMDb synopsis for this movie is Porky Pig and Daffy Duck are Earth's only hope when facing the threat of an alien invasion. So yeah, it's kind of surprising because the marketing for this movie is terrible. I mean, I don't know. I barely knew it was out. I think I saw a trailer on YouTube. I mean, I didn't even know they were making it. The last I heard about Warner Brothers Looney Tunes was they canceled a Roadrunner movie that was supposedly made and ready to go, and they
they canceled
and
it.
They didn't put it out.
Wow.
So I don't know if it was just terrible or what, but I'm actually surprised that this movie exists, to tell you the truth. So I guess we should do initial thoughts and then maybe get into spoilers.
Initial thoughts, I thought it was fun. It was a fun experience to go see. I thought it was a very good mix of newer jokes, but also a tip of the hat back to a older time where the slapstick kind of hitting each other on the head and
that
blowing
it's known
up
for, that
getting
Looney
blown
Tunes
up
is
and
known
stuff
for.
like that.
Yeah. Same with me. I was kind of pleasantly surprised. My kids they were like, this was a lot of fun, and they were laughing. You know, they laugh at all the slapstick stuff and like butts in the air and stuff like that, and I laughed at all the, you know, maybe older jokes that it's obvious that they threw that in there for the adults in the audience as well. I was pleasantly surprised. I guess we can get into spoilers now. This movie's like an ode to old school horror, like Dave the Living Dead.
Yeah, the eerie music.
Yeah. So what's funny about this is that there's an alien who's trying to take over the world, and he does it by putting some green goo in a gum that is popular in the Looney Tunes world. And so anybody who eats it, they get a kind of an invasion of the body snatchers. Anybody who puts the gum in their mouth and starts chomping on it, there's an alien that takes over their brain or whatever, and then they walk around like zombies. So it's kind of like it's got a mix between zombies and aliens and like old school
And then just
horror.
Looney Tune. Yeah, or old school horror and then just Looney Tune
Yeah, shenanigans, I guess.
blowing things up
Yeah,
and in being goofy and being loony,
yeah.
as
Well, and
Daffy
that's
Duck likes to say in it.
yeah. Well, and what's so great about this is that it's really reminiscent of the old stuff. So if you watch any of the new Looney Tunes stuff on HBO Max, what's the best way to put it? It doesn't have the old school feel to it, and this movie did. For whatever reason, whoever they got involved, the people that are involved in this, I didn't recognize any of their names. There's no famous people involved in it.
Yoo-hoo! I'll make you famous.
The directors, I don't recognize their names. So it's very it feels like it was kind of meant for their streaming service, HBO's Warner Brothers streaming service. It feels like because Warner Brothers didn't have a release for several months, they were like, hey, can we just put this out in theaters and see how it does? That's what it feels like. So the stats on this movie are, as of right now, its domestic is only about 5 million. What was the budget on it, Michael?
15 million.
15 million. It's probably not going to make back its money just because of advertising.
Which means we probably won't see it again. Probably won't see another one again.
Which is too bad because it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like,
I wonder if word of mouth will like slowly tick those numbers up to where it could do well.
Yeah, maybe.
They must have just figured that they could just put it out and not do any marketing at all and hope that it would do okay.
It feels like it was dumped. Yeah, this movie was released on March 14th. We both seen it 2 weeks after it was released. So maybe the word of mouth will kind of do it justice, but it did feel like old school Looney Tunes, like Space Jam. I mean, I would argue that the jokes in this are better than in Space Jam.
Yeah.
Because if you go back, like we have fond memories of Space Jam, but if you go back to it, it's kind of dorky. Not all the jokes land for adults. Like it is definitely meant for kids. This movie is meant for families, I would say, because there's jokes in there for adults and then there's jokes in there for the kids. And so I think it kind of has that balance. It reminded me of like the first Shrek movie had jokes for kids and jokes for adults. And
yeah,
so I mean, there's enough of that going on that it made it so it was bearable to watch. And I had heard good things online, so that's why I kind of wanted to see it. And my kids were pleasantly surprised by it. They were like, because they don't know these characters. They hardly watch anything. We sometimes will watch old school, the famous Duck Season. That's probably the most famous Looney Tunes short. Where Elmer Fudd's hunting and Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck are saying it's rabbit season and the other one's saying duck season. It's pretty dang funny. But I mean, that was made 50 years ago, so that's one of their older ones.
Yeah, I would want to support this. Like, go see this, families. If you're out there listening, go see this, because I'd love to get those numbers up, because it didn't have woke in it. It was family friendly, at least enough family friendly. There were a few innuendos that maybe adults would only catch on to, but they're like, I'm a boy, but I'm laying eggs.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's the one. That's the one. I lost my shit on that joke. I absolutely, because the whole time, like they're trying to get Daffy Duck to lay eggs, and he's been laying eggs throughout the movie. And I kept going, man, he's a boy, right? When he acknowledges, he's like, do you know how hard it is for a boy duck to lay an egg?
You serious?
That was
I
hilarious.
lost my shit on that.
I was
My
like,
kids thought I was
you realize
like,
how hard this is?
oh my gosh, there were quite a few, like quite a bit of funny jokes for adults in this. And see, this is the kind of stuff that I really wish we could get back to, and which is why it's a little disappointing that, I mean, their marketing is almost non-existent. I think they had one trailer and one TV spot, and I didn't even know this was being made. Like, that's the thing, is I usually know when movies are being made, and I didn't even know this. Like, it was surprising to me to that.
And it seems like it didn't. It must have. So our local theater didn't even have it. I had to drive a little ways to go see it. Now this is Utah. There's theaters everywhere, but but it was just kind of funny to me that some theaters actually weren't carrying it. So
yeah. How packed was your theater?
Not really. It wasn't really. And
we had one other
matinee or anything like that. It was a weekend. And so it wasn't really packed. But there were, I mean, a good amount
for being 2 weeks away from its a release date, right?
Yeah, obviously if this was one of the big blockbusters or something, this 2 weeks away from it being released should probably been more. But it does make me wonder if online there might be an uptick of people going, because they're the reviews and stuff like that, people going to see it. So hopefully that happens.
We only had one other family. My kids loved it too, because it was them. It was pretty much empty. It was us and one other family.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, my kids are already talking about buying it when it comes out, on VOD.
Yeah.
So there's not much else to say about it. It doesn't really have like a deep meaning or anything like that. It's just pure popcorn.
Looney Tunes. Yeah, it's Looney Tunes. It's like it's not you're not getting a deep meaning or anything like that. Other than throwing in the farmer Jim in there was hilarious.
Yeah, and the way that they did that animation, I don't know if it was meant to be cheap looking, but it was cheesy looking.
It was so great. I loved it. It was so
and the kids loved it too. The kids thought this. It was just hilarious.
It was just a straight picture in somebody's mouth.
Yeah,
I just loved it.
Oh my
God.
was
so good. It was so good. It goes to show 15 million it took to make this. It goes to show that you can make something good
without
on
a big budget. Yeah.
And especially a comedy. Like, I get if you're trying to be serious, if it's trying to be an epic or something like that. But if it's a comedy, it's like,
and there's a serious lack of comedies
out loud.
Right now.
Yeah.
Like there's a serious lack of comedies being made. I mean, especially old school like family comedies. There's like the last one that I think I can remember that was really good was the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's meant for families. It's meant for you to go enjoy it with your kids while your kids are also enjoying it. And that's, there's not a lot of that going on. I mean, Super Mario Brother, I guess was a good one that they had.
That was a good show. I like Super Mario Brothers. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, there's, with all the crap and the sludge that keeps coming out, like Snow White and the Who Gives a Crap. I don't think, I'm hoping that this gets enough of a cult following that they kind of continue. They and they even mention a sequel in the after the credits. Did you guys stay for after the credits?
I did not see that. I saw the after credits where
it's in the middle of the credits. There's one in the middle of the credits and there's one at the after the credits.
Oh, okay. So we saw the middle one, but then didn't see the one after that.
It's good stuff. In this day and age and in these last 3 months, there's just so little good stuff coming out, and we got to champion the stuff that's good, right? We got to get like word on it, like
for reals,
eyeballs on it, get people to go out and try seeing it. So it's really well done.
Vote with your dollar.
Yeah, we want more of this and less Disney remakes. Check us out on social media, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for The Sword in the Skull.
If you liked this, then you are the audience we are looking for.
In the meantime, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more.
There you go, son. Now get out of here. You're bothering.
And if you want more random content, check these out.